Hey guys, welcome back to Switch Game List. Ever noticed how many different ways there are to plant virtual carrots? Today we're digging into the best farming games on Switch. Give that subscribe button a quick tap and let's dig in. I started with Doraemon, Story of Seasons, which honestly took me a while to get used to. It follows Nobi and his robotic cat friend Doraemon as they figure out farm life in this beautiful watercolor world. You're doing all the usual farming stuff, planting crops, raising animals, and getting to know the townspeople, but then you've got these sci-fi gadgets that change how everything works. The Anywhere Door and Time Machine add this weird but fun twist to regular farming chores. Though I have to say, sometimes it feels like the game is more interested in telling its story than letting you actually farm, with dialogue sections that seem to go on forever. Roots of Pacha drops you right into the Stone Age, which I thought would just be a simple change of scenery, but it actually transforms the whole farming experience. Instead of starting with basic farming knowledge, you're discovering agriculture alongside your tribe. There's something pretty cool about figuring out which plants can be domesticated or how to tame wild animals. You're not just growing crops, you're actually participating in the development of early civilization. The game can be pretty slow at first though, and you spend a lot of time learning basic concepts before things get interesting. I found myself really getting invested in watching the tribe's knowledge grow over time. Garden life ended up being way different from what I expected. It's not about making money or expanding a farm, it's purely focused on the art of gardening. You work with actual plant species, learning about their needs and how they grow in different conditions. I've surprisingly picked up some real gardening knowledge while playing, which wasn't something I was expecting from a game. The lack of pressure to achieve specific goals can make it feel a bit directionless sometimes, but there's something really peaceful about just focusing on making beautiful garden spaces. The attention to detail with the plants is pretty impressive. Paleo Pines combines dinosaurs with farming, which sounds like it shouldn't work but somehow does. Having different dinosaur species help out around your farm adds this whole new layer to typical farming tasks. There's something weirdly satisfying about watching a Triceratops plow your fields, or a Parasaurolophus water your crops. The game tells a story about renovating an abandoned ranch, while trying to figure out why the previous owners left, which adds some mystery to the whole experience. It's not the most polished game out there, you'll run into some technical hiccups, but the dinosaur interactions make up for a lot of the rough spots. Stardew Valley is one of those games that starts simple but keeps surprising you with how much depth it actually has. You inherit this overgrown farm, and at first you're just trying to clear land and figure out how to keep plants alive. But then you discover these caves with monsters, start uncovering town secrets, and realize every villager has their own complex life going on. I've probably sunk more hours into this than I'd like to admit. The beginning can be pretty overwhelming though. There's a lot to learn, and my first year was basically just trial and error. The game doesn't hold your hand much, which can be both good and bad. Hey, quick pause here. If you're enjoying this look at some of Switch's finest games, hit that subscribe button for more content like this. Let me know in the comments which of these games you've played or are excited to try. Now, let's continue with our lineup. Harvestella mixes farming with action RPG elements in this world where seasons are interrupted by this deadly period called quietus. You're balancing your time between tending crops and heading into dungeons to fight monsters, which creates this interesting rhythm to each day. The crops you grow end up being important for making food that helps you in combat, so the farming feels meaningful to the adventure parts. Combat can feel a bit stiff sometimes, and there are days when farm chores feel like they're just getting in the way of the main story. The mechanics don't always mesh perfectly, but there's something compelling about how it all fits together. Farming Simulator 23 tries to recreate modern farming as accurately as possible, and it really shows you just how complex actual farming is. You're working with real farm equipment, learning about crop rotation, soil management, and all the business aspects of running a farm. I never realized how much thought goes into deciding what to plant, where, and when. It can feel more like an educational tool than a game sometimes. You really need to be interested in real farming to get the most out of it. The learning curve is pretty steep, but there's something satisfying about mastering all the different aspects of modern agriculture. My time at Portia puts farming in this post-apocalyptic setting that's surprisingly cheerful. You're splitting your time between running a workshop, maintaining your farm, and helping rebuild civilization. The game throws a lot at you: crafting, farming, exploring ruins for old technology, and building relationships with townsfolk. Sometimes it feels like there's almost too much to keep track of, and the Switch version struggles a bit with performance when things get busy. Animal Crossing wasn't built as a farming game originally, but they added crop growing and cooking later on. It's just one small part of island life, alongside fishing, bug catching, fossil hunting, and decorating. The game runs in real time, which means you're limited in what you can do each day unless you time travel. Some people might find it too slow or casual, but that's kind of the point. It's about gradually building up your island at whatever pace feels right. Cult of the Lamb might be the strangest take on farming I've played. You're literally a possessed lamb building a cult, and farming is just part of keeping your followers fed and happy. The game has you bouncing between tending crops and going on dungeon runs to gather resources and recruit new cultists. The dark humor works surprisingly well, even if the story gets confusing at times. Farming isn't super complex here, but it fits nicely into the whole cult management system. Hey, let me know what you think about these games. Maybe you've played some and have a different take, or maybe something here caught your eye. Drop a comment, let's chat about it. See you in the next one.